So today we're going to be looking at Elon Musk and what is the fascination that we all have with this man. You know, he is definitely a visionary. He's a hero in very many eyes because of his ability to manifest through the law of manifestation what he sees, what he's able to download, what he's able to envision, and then bring it into reality. And this is a man who has worked his way up. And it goes to show as an inspiration for so many of us to believe in oneself, to believe in one's vision. Now, we don't have his exact time of birth, but we do have his date of birth. So I have set it there at midnight of June 28th, 71. So what we will have is the accurate placements of his planets. And in the signs, what we may not have accurate is here, the housing of his planets. So unless one day I might be able to get his exact time of birth, well, we will go with this, and we're going to be talking about the aspects that the planets have to each other and in which way these aspects play out. So, Elon, he is a Cancerian, okay, 5 degrees, sun in Cancer, which makes he is very much somebody who thrives within his shell. That is his home. That is where he's comfortable. Within that inner self, that protection of the shell of the Cancerian crab, right? And in there, when he's allowed to be by himself, and at times, and I can only imagine that his life is super busy these days with everything going on and everybody needing him, of course, with all the things that he's involved in. But for him to be able to really go into his visions, yes, he needs to pull back into his shell, into that crab shell. This is where he can really download these full visionary aspects that he has. And the thing about Elon, ever since he was young, he had the ability to really think in large scales, even though it was impossible. But he's one of those that would say nothing is impossible. Impossible just takes a little longer time. Where does that come from? Let's take a look at his vision. And if we look up here in his chart, we got Jupiter and Neptune. Neptune is the ability to envision, to dream. And Jupiter, think about the size of Jupiter, which is huge. He is able and capable of huge visions, all right? And from the mindset where he comes from is that since nothing is impossible, it just takes a little bit more juice, a little bit more power to actually bring the law of attraction into manifestation. And how does he do that? Now, let's take a look at that Jupiter and Neptune. Jupiter is in Scorpio, so he thinks deep. He thinks solutions and so forth. And Neptune is giving him the solutions because he doesn't stop thinking, all right? For him, he's a problem solver because if we look at his Mercury here, it is square to Uranus. Now, Uranus is not a traditional planet. Saturn is. That's over here. But Uranus, if Mercury is linear and rules our linear thought from A to Z, past, present, future, it's all on one line. Well, then Uranus is that tripolar point between past, present, and future. It's up here. It's not bound by linear timing. And it's the higher octave of Mercury. So where Mercury linearly thinks or communicates, that's what it rules. Uranus is that higher octave, which gives you a full download. It's like that onboard biocomputer will just like this. And you know how they say that a picture has a million words, right? If you have to explain that picture from A to Z, it takes time. When he has a vision and he needs to explain it linearly through his Mercury, well, that takes time. But when he receives his inspiration, it comes as that flash, that download. In a split second, he can see things already done and computed from A to Z. In a flash, he's got those million components all together, and if he can see it, then he knows it's possible. He can do it. And that's something that we should all live by. That very virtue of seeing is doing, right? Or if not, you wouldn't be able to envision. But then again, of course, it's not just enough to look at a vision and then say it's going to fall in your lap and it's going to happen. You have to have stamina. You have to have dedication, determination, and something that can bring it in as an anchor. What is that in his chart now? That's Saturn. Saturn is the anchor. Saturn is what brings it down to Earth, and he has it here, both in a position to his vision up here and to Saturn, to Uranus right here, Saturn, Uranus. So the challenge is from when he gets his vision, which is very deep, by the way, it is in Scorpio, and both these two planets are retrograde. If you see the little r's, meaning past life information. He's been working in this genius state for several lifetimes. This is why he could get such an early start in this lifetime, because he had this knack and knowing of how to work certain things. Now, Saturn will help give him the ballast, the anchor he needs to bring it in, holding him in place. A lot of people can have visions, but if they don't have dedication to see it through, all they're going to experience is just the flash of. But he's like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. What is it going to take? And then he starts thinking, his problem solving, which is excellent, because here's the flash, right? There's that full download of the vision. Saturn will find a way, and he has found his way, and probably many times. Uranus thinks out of the box. This is where his genius comes into play. We all have Uranus somewhere. We all have a genius gene somewhere. It's all about finding it, trusting it, unlocking it, and to see and determine in our own charts, do we have that dedication to bring it into manifestation? Now, what is his genius flashes mainly about? Well, let's take a look at that. Uranus not only is that genius inventive planet to think outside of the box, but Uranus also rules energy. Energy in sense of, think about Nikola Tesla, right? Free energy. It's outside of the old way of thinking, the old foundations that we have to go through, oil, right? The slow technology. Uranus rules technology. It rules futuristic technology and so forth. So this is his futuristic self, to think about energy, think about his rockets and whatnot. Not only that, but then he also has Pluto here. Now, Pluto is also energy. We think in terms of Mars being, which I say to my clients and my YouTubes, Mars is dynamite, right? But Pluto is nuclear, meaning super powerful. It is Mars on steroids by 1,000, right? And both of them have very good aspects to Saturn. So he will think through old school situations, right? The grounding of what binds, what holds, and how he can secure it. And so he takes his flashes of inspiration from here, which is his futuristic visions of energy, power, rockets, so forth, planetary exploration. Look at his little car here out in space, right? And probably, I wouldn't be surprised, meteorite mining, for example, or say mining on the moon for helium-3, that kind of thing. He's into power, he's into energy. How can we propel this world into a higher state, to a new state, and bring humanity what probably Nikola Tesla wanted to? He had it. They stole it from him, and they shelved all of his inventions. But did they really? I think that the military complex has taken a lot of Tesla's notes from his diary and incorporated it over time, right? But see, Elon Musk, he's pretty much like a follow-up of that energy, of that inspiration that Nikola Tesla had. No wonder he calls his cars Tesla. There is an affiliation. There's a kindred spirit there. They think in the same way, where nothing is impossible, and they dare to dream big dreams, big thoughts. And of course, for those of you out there wanting to follow in his footprints, to dare believe in yourself, take this with you from Elon Musk, that you have to believe in yourself. You can't listen to people who says, oh, you can't do that. People who say that will only express their own limitations. Do not take on other people's limitations unless you become bound by it. You have to trust yourself enough to know that you can do it if you believe in it. Now, believe or beliefs, trust in self comes from this aspect right here, his Jupiter, Neptune. These two planets meets once every 12 years, and once every 12 years there are geniuses that do come around, visionaries that do come around, that can help Mother Earth take a leap into the next eon with new visions and so forth, and they challenge the old ways. Now, his Mars, we got to look at Mars because Mars is his drive. It's his passion. It is his goal setting. He has it in what? He has it in the sign of Aquarius. Now, Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus, is that genius type energy, meaning he doesn't think in old ways. He thinks in new ways. He is focused on the future. How can we improve? What can we do different? How can I challenge the old school system? And of course, you got to have guts to stand up to the old school scientists because they're going to poo you down because they didn't come with it first, right? So you got to have enough tough skin to stand up to the judgment of all the naysayers. Everybody saying, oh, you can't do this. Who do you think you are, right? But thank God, he is a Cancerian. He has a shell. Having the shell is tough skin. Even though what we need to realize is that shell can be tough and hard. There's nobody more sensitive than a Cancerian. You could say Pisces are sensitive. You could say Scorpio are because they're also water signs like Cancerians. However, though, without the shell, there is no skin, right? So the Cancerians are extremely sensitive because there's nothing there. They have to have that shell to feel protected. But he has that. I think that has helped him a lot. It also makes him look at values, family values, and so forth, of things that are important to him. We're going to talk about family coming in here a little bit later because we do see a few red lines coming from this area of the Sun and Mercury and how it's being challenged. This is the Sun and Mercury and how it's challenged up here to Uranus. So that has a whole meaning and of itself. We'll get back to that in a little bit. But he's got his shell. He's got his futuristic thinking. He's got the expansion of consciousness. Think about the size of Jupiter. Like I said, it's huge. It's humongous, right? So his visions are big. His Mars keeps him dedicated. And of course, wherever we see red lines, there's challenges. For him, he must have come across more than one on his career path. How do I get from here to there? How do I find the money to get from here to there for this vision? Okay, so he's had this step and step on step like a ladder in expansion. I know that he was connected to PayPal at some point and then split off from it. So he made his money. I'm not too informed of his past and all the details of it, but I am looking to the chart here. And these red lines show that he stood up to it. Why? Because Saturn was the anchor in his chart to hold him to it. If I can see it, I can do it. I just got to find a way. That Saturn is in the sign of Gemini, which is all about communication, network systems, and so forth. Who do I know? Who can I collaborate with? Who can I share my ideas with? And of course, he's been quite lucky. We know Nikola Tesla, they took his concepts away from him, they shelved it, and so forth. So he had a lot of challenges. Thus far, Elon is really lucky to get things up off the ground, literally speaking, too, as his rockets, his SpaceX rockets do launch into space. Mars, too, is very intellectual, and that is because it's in the sign of Aquarius, which is an air sign. It's intellectual, right? So you could say maybe in some ways he could be a little aloof, and that is just because air can be aloof, but he is a water sign, so he's really connected, too, to his emotions, to what he personally has in his own, shall I say, cosmic makeup and the way he emotes. But Mars, yes, is a drive. It's a passion. It is beautifully aligned to Venus down here, 19 degrees in Gemini. So this aspect here, that is yin-yang as far as the inner, outer self of his feminine side, his masculine side. Venus doesn't just rule his emotions as far as love and romance, which it does, but Venus also rules money. So his Mars, which is action, has helped him find his way to find the money, to be able to bring out all of his techniques, all of his goals. So if you look at this trine right here and up here, I'm sorry the mouse doesn't really always follow where I want it to go here, but this is where he can unexpectedly come to money. Uranus, we never know with it. You know, it can turn anybody's fate, your fate too, from one day to the other. And he has it here with his money. So it's like he's found his way to manifest the challenges of bringing his visions out and into life. Now, of course, we're not seeing where his planets are here per today. That would be his transits, you know, to see what he's working on today. How is his life looking next year? But this is a blueprint of his birth chart. What that does means that these planets, it's like his DNA. It's going to be with him for a lifetime, no matter what happens or what transits will come out and around and knock on these doors like dominoes, right? That's where we have action, evolution, and so forth. But the blueprint will always lay there in the background like a backdrop and be played upon it. That's what transits are. So we know that he is a great communicator. Saturn, Venus, and Gemini. He gets his point across. He's very verbal, I believe, in that way of communicating his visions of energy. And, you know, in the past we had the government controlling everything as far as these kind of explorations. We had NASA and we had the military, right? So for private companies to start exploring space is absolutely fabulous. This is really what's going to bring a lot of disclosure out to people, because he is not bound by certain things that the government is, especially in the Information Act and so forth. As a private company, you know, he can hold certain things secret that maybe the NSA doesn't want out, but then again, he still has the personal liability to go out and share what he feels humanity needs to know about our planet and space exploration. And I feel what we're seeing now, it's amazing, fantastic things, but there is so much more to come from Elon Musk. I think we're just scraping the surface. I think he has absolutely the power and ability to bring not just people out into space, which I know that he's thinking of, maybe there with Richard Branson as well, but there could be colonization here of the moon. But I'm thinking he's thinking even further out to do Mars exploration and so forth. I don't see anything really holding him back other than himself. So the limitations that he can come to experience is only the ones that he places on himself. And he seems to be very limitless. Thank God for that. And you go, Elon, right? Bring it to all of us. Working and collaborating with Elon could be a very pleasant experience. For the most part, that Mars-Venus there is very nice. You know, he's such a great guy. And I feel he could be very fun and very spontaneous and full of surprises to be with for his family, his friends, and acquaintances and so forth. But getting on the bad side, I don't see that he necessarily has a bad side per se, but I think, you know, he could perhaps feel a little short-tempered. Not necessarily short-tempered, I can't say that. And of course, I don't know him personally, but impatient is probably the better word for it. When he works with people who works with him, who gets it, and they're independent, they do their thing, he will be all behind him. That's the way he shows up here in this chart. It's when they don't get it, or they're slow, or whatnot, and cross it. Then he could be a little impatient. That's his Mars and Jupiter square. It's like that just doesn't sit with him. For him, time is everything. Time is extremely valuable. Every minute seems to count. And every minute that passes that's not being productive, that is loss. And we're not just talking loss of money and income and whatnot. God knows he's got more than enough of it. He's not the materialistic person looking at money coming in, ka-ching, ka-ching. For him, money is value in the sense that we need to get on with this because there's so much more coming to the forefront, that's pushing in behind like this tidal wave, this underlying tidal wave of new ideas coming in. And he's only got one body. He's only got 24 hours, right? He's probably a person who wishes he had 10 bodies and a 72-hour day so that he could accomplish all this inner pressure of getting it out. It's like, my goodness, Elon Musk is constantly in this phase of rebirthing himself, renewing himself, and so forth. And as soon as one project is manifesting, it's off to the side. Let's get on with the next one and the next one. And so, of course, he's going to have to keep in touch with all these leads, should I say, all these, not loose ends, because they're definitely connected, but all these ends that need to come together in the mastermind of connecting the dots so we can have a domino of flow. And there's not a lot of people that could understand exactly how the neurons work in this man's mind, but they're constantly flaming and buzzing and new information coming in. All the time I talked about instant downloads that this man gets through his onboard biological computer, right? So therefore time becomes very important to him so he can grab the moment. So no time is lost because then an idea can be lost, right? It's like he wants to act on it. So he seems to come across as somebody who's very immediate in his reactions, immediate and spontaneous in his vision. He puts the drive behind it. I don't even know how this man sleeps. And I would bet that he has a lot of insomnia, and taking that as a positive, because he won't just try to, go back to sleep or roll around in that bed, right? He'll get up and he'll work. And then you don't really feel tired because he's constantly inspired. So if we can take that from it, use your downtime to be creative, to manifest. Don't just think it, do it. And as you do, you get more energy. Why? Because for every single thing that we do, that we can see the outcome of our production gives us new energy to keep going and keep going. And we don't need as much sleep as we think. When we procrastinate, it drains energy, because then we're just thinking and we're getting nowhere, and we keep thinking, still getting nowhere. That is a drain right down. And so for him, it looks like that immediate reaction that he has to act upon things renews his energy constantly. He has a Sun, Mercury square Pluto down here, and let me see if I can get my mouse. There we go. Sun, Mercury squaring off on his Pluto. That also could mean that, he has a fantastic ability to shut doors when he needs to. If somebody has crossed him, not worth being in his life, he doesn't have a problem letting go of it. Now, he could be a giver. He can be very generous, too, in that sense, if people earn his trust, if they can earn their space in his life. I believe, he, in so many ways, can be so helpful, so supportive, so loving, caring, giving. But if somebody crosses him, Pluto will just set an end to it. It doesn't linger. It doesn't procrastinate. Again, he doesn't have time to waste. And if there's too much drama in any one situation with any one person or group, he will just sever it. And that sets him free. And he's learned how to survive setting free, setting those boundaries, saying enough is enough, gone. He won't linger in it. And so even there is that constant renewal of energy because he doesn't linger over the past. So he's got a lot going on, keeps him motivated, keeps him going. He knows definitely that he's here for a higher reason. Now, his moon node, we'll find that up here, that node, and it's in the sign of Aquarius. The node always tells us in our charts our point of destiny, what we're here to do, what we're here to achieve. There's also a south node. It's not shown here in this chart, but there's always on the opposite end a south node. The south node is where we come from, our past lives, what we bring with us. And when we're feeling a little insecure, we kind of like, ooh, we lean to the south node. But we're all here to overcome and rise above whatever challenges to reach this point of destiny. He's got it here in a stellium in a conjunction with Mars, and his goal is the Aquarian energy, Uranus, and we see it's over here, really locked tightly in to Saturn and Pluto. So his goal is all about bringing new and renewable energy to the world, rocket sciences, and also planetary exploration, and bringing in the dynamics of it. So he's working his goals. Nobody's going to stop him. There's no time to waste. Like I said, this is all keeping him. You could see it like an arrow going up here, right? And then these lines here. So for him, if somebody tries to stop him, hinder him, slow him down with drama, he'll like, okay, well, let's let go of this. Let's just move on to the next. And so that is his success, his golden key to success. Keep the eye on the horizon. Believe in yourself. See it and do it. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't. And if somebody should even try to, well, then they're not really needed in your life, because why? They're only expressing their own limitations, that they can't see it or do it. But don't accept that onto yourself. So that is what we need to listen to. And I hope you find some inspiration into the keys of Elon Musk's inspiration and dedication to Mother Earth and all of us that is here. And I just want to give you a double thumbs up, Elon Musk, because you are our hero.